I think this is a moment to applaud the Cincinnati Bengals. It's a rarity. Let's do it. And they got work to do, but you got to take care of the studs first. And that's what they did.
I'm going to talk to Joe Burrow directly here. Kids at home, earmuffs, don't listen to this. Bullying works.
The secondary is the thing I keep coming back to because that's been the most disappointing part.
That's the crux of it, Bill. I mean, this was one of the worst defenses in football last year, both against the pass and the run.
Yeah, I went big on this one. I said it's like 60% that they're going to miss the playoffs because of and not because of the fact that.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. We are talking about the Cincinnati Bengals in today's video, and I know the defense was not the best last season, but we did see Joe Burrow play 17 games, and I know for a fact if he does that again, the Cincinnati Bengals will make the playoffs. It's still kind of absurd that the team was able to go 9-8 with everything going on last year, but the biggest move for Cincinnati the entire offseason was Al Golden being their new defensive coordinator. I really loved Coach Lou, but sometimes coordinators just, you run your course, right? Head coaches run their course, players, quarterbacks run their course. And it was just time for a new scheme and a new system and just a new culture, just a new defense, right? And so there's not crazy new moving parts, but I do think a guy like Al Golden, the two moves that really got me going were Demetrius Knight Jr. First off, I know Shamar, but the two linebackers and Demetrius Knight Jr. and Oren Burks. I viewed those as confidence moves from Al Golden because the linebackers, you can really coach. If you're a good defense coordinator, your linebackers are going to be very, very good. And I look at the linebacker room for Cincinnati. I look at the young defensive back room. I look at a bunch of guys on this defensive line. Obviously, if Trey Hendrickson does end up getting traded, we'll have a different convo. But hey, at the end of the day, man, this team's got a lot of raw talent. They've got a lot of physicality, and everything I've been hearing in OTAs right now has me excited. So we have to start it off with Joe Burrow because when he's healthy, there's nobody better. Joe Burrow's statistics last season and watching them, obviously, it was insane. And it feels like a season wasted, and it was a season wasted. He had a 93.5 passing grade and a 95.2 overall grade over the last 3 seasons, and that is quarterback number 1. His 51.3% success rate over that span ties Josh Allen for the second best in the entire National Football League. So if Cincy this year can even just have a league average defense, the Bengals will win 10 games and they will make the playoffs. And then, like we said last year, even with the horrid defense, if you have a healthy Joe Burrow in the playoffs, anything can happen like we saw a few seasons ago. But the biggest concern and the biggest weakness heading into this year was, of course, the defense. But before we get into it, folks, hit that like button, hit that sub button for daily NFL content. We post a Bengals video, I'd say, every 10 or so days. So if we could try and get this one to 250 likes, folks, it would mean the absolute world to me. So you have 2-star wide receivers, T. Higgins and Jamar Chase, and you have an MVP quarterback in Joe Burrow, and yet you win 9 games. You're technically above average, or I'm trying to put it in a COD terminology, but you're not below neg, right? You're 9-8. You're above 500. And the Bengals defense was that bad. They ranked 18th in PFF run defensive grade, 19th in PFF coverage grade, 26th in PFF pass rush grade. And that's a horrid stat because Trey Hendrickson led the NFL in sacks. Right. Pass coverage also was not good for the Bengals defense. That was probably the biggest flaw. They allowed 30 touchdown passes, which was the fourth most in the National Football League, and a completion percentage of 64.9, and then even worse, a passer rating of about 92. So the defense couldn't stop the run. They couldn't stop the pass. They could not stop anybody, and it's why every game, even with Joe Burrow throwing up 30 points, they were not coming down with victories. And the other big concern people have with the Cincinnati Bengals, and I will admit rightfully so, is the offensive line. Now, there's a couple of pieces on this new offensive line, and by new, I mean Darren Fairchild at left guard, which we'll talk about in just one second. But basically, PFF did a offensive line ranking for all 32 teams in the NFL. They had Cincy clocking in at 32, all right? Now, their headliners for the offseason were cutting Alex Kappa. They brought in Lucas Patrick, my former Packer. I wasn't too thrilled with that. And they drafted 2 guys in Jalen Rivers and then Darren Fairchild. Now, here's the thing. If Amarius Mims, the right tackle, and Orlando Brown Jr. there's so many moving cogs on this offensive line. If Orlando Brown Jr. at left tackle can just play how he did in every year besides last year, That's very good. All right, no issues there. Amarius Mims, rookie right tackle from last season. So the Bengals had the second lowest graded offensive line last year. The worst team was the New England Patriots, at least statistically. And like we said, it's kind of the same lineup. But 2024 first round pick, it was a bad rookie season. He placed 67th among all tackles with a 57.8 PFF grade. And it just wasn't good. So if Amarius Mims doesn't improve, then yeah, there's some more issues, especially on that right side of the offensive line. But if Amarius Mims can play how he should play as a round one entering his sophomore campaign, then I feel good about the two tackles. Ted Karras is very good. And then the two guards are interesting. I'm not thrilled with the Lucas Patrick move. We'll pocket that. Darren Fairchild, I really did like that, but I think we'll talk about him in just a second because you drafted three rookies that I loved. All right, we'll run through them. We already have, but I want to give a little bit more of an insight. And by the way, real quick, Myles Murphy, first round pick, and I believe 2023, this has to be the year. And hopefully Al Golden's the right defensive coordinator to get him going. Reminds you of a little bit of Shamar Stewart. So the Bengals took Shamar Stewart in the first round, and this was made fun of because he only had 4.5 career sacks in college. But the dude, if you're watching the tape, if you're watching the film, you're not questioning the Shamar Stewart first round pick move. I remember seeing mock drafts where he was going like 9 or 10. All right. He posted an 88.2 PFF run defensive grade as a junior, and Sam Hubbard retired. Trey Hendrickson hopefully is, still going to be in Cincinnati, but Shamar's got just raw talent. He's got raw talent. And Al Golden, the defense coordinator, made clear that his 1.5 sacks in each of his 3 college years was not a concern. He said he was making a ton of plays away from the line of scrimmage, and he's very excited to work with Shamar Stewart. And like I said, he is so good in run defense that he is going to see snaps immediately on day one, or I should say week 1. But one of my favorite picks in the entire draft was round 249 overall, Demetrius Knight Jr. out of South Carolina. He's had an interesting college career. He's a 6-year player. He went to Georgia Tech, Charlotte, and then played one final season at South Carolina. Al Golden said he waited the previous 17 picks to tick off the board so they could take Demetrius Knight. I'm telling you, and your DC, Al Golden, said he was the MVP on one of the best defenses. I'm a biased Gamecock fan because I got family who went there. The dude was the MVP of the defense. He also has the second longest wingspan of any linebacker in this class. He's old. He's 25, but that's not a negative thing. That means day one, he is going to come in with an impact. All around linebacker as well. He had a good grade against the run, good in coverage, and good as a pass rusher. So I loved that. And then finally, like we've been saying all video, round 381, Darren Fairchild, offensive guard out of Georgia. Now, some people are concerned just because he's a rookie playing guard. He's slated in as the starting left guard for Cincy next season. But your head coach, Zach Taylor, said you targeted him early in the draft process, and he's going to come in immediately to, compete for the starting spot. My favorite stat for Dylan is he allowed just 1 sack in his college career, and he also earned an 87 PFF pass blocking grade. So the point is, if this new defensive coordinator can get this defense right and get these guys playing how they should play, I feel good. If Amarius Mims and Darren Fairchild can play, even though they're young, good, then I don't know why Cincy's not winning 10 games and we're just going to forget about last year. So, folks, that's it from me. I hope you enjoyed it. Hit that like button, hit that sub button. Have a great rest of your weekend. And if you're feeling inclined, let me know down below a loose win-loss record projection for Cincy down below. Peace.